back to IGN Live at Gamescom 2018. I am joined by Sarah, and we are going to talk some Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise.
Yes.
Man, I have a lot of questions, but let's just let's keep
Take it back.
take it slow.
Take it slow.
We'll take it real slow. So, Fist of the North Star.
Yes.
A lot of people, fans of the anime, definitely know what this is, but for people who don't, can you fill us a little bit in on the story?
Yeah, if you've never heard of Fist of the North Star, it's a really great time to get into the franchise. At the heart of it, it's essentially a story of lost love, redemption, and going to the gym and working out.
I know. I mean, I'm not trying. Let's not objectify Kenshiro,
No.
but let's just take a look at his arms.
He is a specimen. He has been fine-tuning with working out. He's been working on his mystical arts, this Hokuto.
Yeah.
He's ready for a fight.
I mean, I think I sense a DLC of Kenshiro's workout videos.
I would watch that and buy it. Him and Kiryu doing it together.
So we have Kenshiro, who is our protagonist. Does this game follow, like if you're familiar with the Fist of the North Star anime, have you already seen this story, or is this a new story?
So what's really cool is that if you're familiar with the anime, this is in the same universe, but it's its own unique story.
Oh, cool.
It's not
So it's still new to everybody.
Yes, fantastic. You'll still recognize the characters like Yuri and his love, and you'll still recognize some of the world and some of the combat, but actually, because the development team worked with the original licensee, they're able to create a whole new story with the character, which is a really refreshing experience.
So you mentioned the development team. Yakuza, they're behind. So is this considered a spin-off, like, or is it in the same universe? Like, what's the deal? Because the combat looks very similar.
Yeah.
We see some similarities.
If you've played Yakuza games, you will recognize the flow of the combat. That's sort of building up to the big rush, that kind of quite, don't call it dancing, but that sort of quite rhythmic, like smashing from one person to another.
Smashing, yes.
Very much
smashing.
that word today. But it's not in the Yakuza universe. You're not going to turn a corner and see Majima popping out of a bin.
Got it.
But you'll get to see the same sort of strong narrative and combat that the Yakuza team are so well known for.
So why Fist of the North Star? I mean, there's so many anime, like there's so much that you can choose from. Why this?
Yeah, so it was the first question I actually asked Sato-san, who's the lead on this project, and I said, why would you want to leave Kamurocho and these beautiful streets?
Totally.
And he said that the challenge for them was that when you work in a city like Kamurocho, it's very grounded in reality. So everything has to have a sense of, well, you couldn't walk in a shop and start picking up people and throwing them around.
I mean, you could, but you might get into some trouble.
They wanted to work on something that had its own unique sense of reality. So this allows them to play a bit more of the fantastical, but there are still rules. So when they were developing it, originally you could pick up like precious metals off the floor for your buggy, but the licensees said, oh, you wouldn't be able to do that because they're too precious in this world. They wouldn't be lying on the floor. And they were like, oh, this is a whole new world of rules.
It's like
to
a
work
new
with.
playground.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Stealing that.
Writing it down for the... So you mentioned the buggy.
Yes.
I have seen him walking a lot. Where is the buggy?
So Eden is the last bastion of humanity in Fist of the North Star. It's where the electricity is, the power is, so everyone flocks there.
Yes.
But as soon as you leave Eden, you come into this desolate wasteland where there are bandits driving around, there are fights you can have everywhere, and a buggy that you can customize, you can race, you can drive up to people, hop out, get a fight, get back in, drive off and collect more resources.
Perfect, just more fights.
It's like your own Uber in the wasteland.
Except with fighting. An
well,
Uber with fighting. A deathmatch Uber.
Oh, stealing that
Write
as well.
that idea down. I'll let you have that one.
Thank you.
So you mentioned kind of this freedom that players have. Does this feature the mini games that the Yakuza series are so well known for?
The mini games in this are... we'll hopefully try and show you one, but Kenshiro wouldn't do the same things that Kiryu would do.
They're different characters.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
They both have the same good heart, wanting to do the right thing, but they're still both very different. So as they go through Eden, he's going to take on different challenges. He can bartend through a series of mysterious events. He can work in a casino. He can work in a coliseum.
A man of many talents.
Do you know... He's like a jack of all trades, but a master of all of them, which is a very rare thing.
That is very rare. I mean, he seems really good at beating people up. He's on fire. Can you explain to us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, this is similar to if you've played Yakuza when you go into heat mode. So once you've built up enough combos, Kenshiro will rip his shirt off because that's exactly how shirts work in Yakuza and Fist of the North Star World. It pops off, then he gets in his fight and it pops back on once he's done.
Obviously. Obviously. So does this have the same humor as Yakuza? I mean, this is set in a post-apocalyptic world that doesn't seem very funny.
Yeah, it's not sort of the same. Yakuza always did that great balance of you have a very serious storyline and a very funny side story. This does tread that same line, but it's a little less of the funny side story, but instead you see the combat, like you can see now, is a little more funny.
Yes.
So it sort of balances
That's
itself
where it
out.
finds the humor.
Yeah.
Got it. So I saw some QTE there. Is that the special attack?
That is, so he's got a few different special attacks. You saw one before where he can summon a sort of talisman, which is someone that will come in and fight him, which you unlock as you go through the story. But also he's got his Hokuto Shinken skills, which he's demonstrating now, which is this power he has in his hands. And it's really difficult to explain because it just makes me sound bonkers. Where he can make things explode, implode, and channel that power through his actions.
Okay, and is that part of the martial art that he has mastered? Got it. Got it.
So he can take on big guys like this one. And
I was going to say, these men are literally very big because Kenshiro is very tall as well.
The official statement is super tall.
Super tall. That's it. He writes that like when he's signing at the doctor's office. Just super tall.
I am super tall.
Right there. So what will fans of the Yakuza series or franchise be excited about in this game? Like what similarities can they expect?
So the Yakuza fans have been actually asking us to bring this title to the West for quite a while.
Which you are, yes.
So for us, it's really exciting to say, yes, we hear you. We hear a lot of your requests, and it's taken a long time to get this done, which is why you might see the engine looks a little different to how Yakuza looks. But Yakuza fans are going to get to see the same sort of content, combat, but more importantly, the same voice actor.
Oh,
so
wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, actually, this might be a bit of a thing. Kuroda-san, who does the voice for Kiryu in the entire Yakuza series, also our voice for Kenshiro.
Cool.
So
wow.
Apparently they auditioned lots of people, and in the end, Sato-san was like, it has to be him. There's no one else it can be apart from Kuroda-san.
Wow, that is very consistent to
it feels like it brings you back to it, that same sort of grunting combat sound you hear everywhere.
Yeah. So what about fans of the anime?
So fans of the anime are going to see a lot of the returning characters. The Yuria story arc is really lovely. The art style will remind them, obviously, a lot of that kind of like cel-shaded, that sort of very detailed, but also slightly comic feeling to it as well. But because we have English VO in this, it's actually the first time a lot of people have heard Kenshiro not speak Japanese, which is very cool.
That is there an option, though, for subtitles?
Yep, you can do Japanese audio or English audio, and you can do subtitles as well.
Got it. So we talked about the anime and how, this is a really deep franchise. It's very deep rooted.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is a new story. So is it a retelling of the story or is it an adaptation?
Oh, that's a good question. It's sort of looking at the main story arc that Kenshiro has been through and not filling in the blanks, but adding a bit of context to what could have happened. Oh, I just did it.
oh.
That's his famous move.
Well, there we go. Oh, see, yep, there it is.
Yes, adding a bit of context to what could have happened in the world outside and how Kenshiro would react in this brand new situation. Which for fans of Kenshiro and that sort of very stoic, no nonsense, get the right thing done, it's really fascinating to see him face off against all these new enemies and worlds.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like there's something really special and intimate about seeing a character who you probably feel like you know from the inside out and getting to experience this adventure and being kind of putting yourself in his shoes and being like, wow, this is, like I said, it's just very intimate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Fist of the North Star as a franchise has always actually been about a very human element with Kenshiro, where it is just about him, whether it's his relationship or the fact he just wants to help people. So it felt really natural for the Yakuza team to do that because that franchise has actually always been about, yes, it might be mental and Majima's popping out of bins, but actually Kiryu wants to help those kids and he wants to go and do the right thing by everyone he meets. And Kenshiro very much has the same moral compass as he goes along.
So we talked about Eden, which is where a lot of this game takes place, most of it.
Yes, Eden is, because it's the post-apocalyptic world, most places got destroyed. There are only a few vehicles, so you have to scrap to get together your buggy. So outside of Eden, there are some story things we can't talk about, but really Eden is where everyone is flocking to. That's where the power and the resources have been found in this world.
And Eden isn't from the anime, is it?
I can't 100% confirm that.
Okay, got it. Okay, so What would you say to newcomers who want to get into this but maybe haven't played a Yakuza game, or they aren't as familiar with Fist of the North Star? Because I feel like that could be very overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we've talked about it to fans who've never engaged the series before, we've always sort of pitched it as a chance to explore a post-apocalyptic world with a really Japanese feel in terms of game design, aesthetic, but also to experience an anime that you've probably heard friends talk about in the fringe of your life, especially if you've been involved in like sort of geek culture and comic culture, but without having to read and watch sort of One Piece yourself and have to watch 1000 series to catch up.
Totally. So you guys are doing newcomers a favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And the combat is really intuitive to pick up. It's really free-flowing, same as the Yakuza series. And it is super rewarding. When you get the proper rush off, you're literally just stood in your front room going, yes!
Yeah, I mean, I feel it just from watching this demo. So, do you have a favorite minigame? You mentioned a few. You said bartending,
I do really like bartending. So you can go to a bar called the Rusty Nail, which is a charming establishment.
Sounds
just like
it.
Cheers. And basically Kenshiro will put on a tuxedo, and he's very, very straight-faced, and he'll do his mini-games. But because it has English audio, it's got this fantastic thing where he'll be mixing drinks, like mix, and he'll smash out this ice cube into this tiny, perfect sphere and give it to someone.
Of
and
course
you're
he
like,
will.
oh, thank you, good job. That was elaborate for my cocktail, but thanks.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
problem.
I'm so excited to get our hands on this. October 2nd, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So stick around, guys, because more Gamescom 2018 is coming at you after this.